It is 2 p.m., March 19th, the feast of Saint Joseph, the foster father of our Lord Jesus Christ. May he intercede for us. The meeting will come to order. To roll call now. The trustees are here with the exception of Trustee Otterson will not be at the meeting today. She wasn't available. And Trustee Robinson will join us probably around 3 or 3:30. The director is here. The chief administrative officer is here. Council was not expected to be joining us this afternoon. We have our communications and marketing director. I believe that's everyone, and we have a quorum. First up we have is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up on today's agenda is the public comment period. Speakers will state their name and community and speak for no more than 3 minutes. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe a level of civility and decorum appropriate for a public meeting. No personal attacks or disruptions of the audience will be tolerated. And today's speaker, we have one person signed up, is Teresa Burkett.
Okay, my name is Teresa Burkett. I'm in Post Falls and I'm with the Library Alliance of North Idaho. Sorry. I haven't spoken in a while, so I have a few issues I wish to speak on. First, I want to address the recent challenge to 4 children's books. These books were reviewed and found not to be harmful to minors, yet they remain off the shelves. CLN's policy clearly states that the decision must be made within 60 days, and once that decision is reached, whether by staff or the board, it must be implemented by CLN staff. By keeping these books off the shelves, you're not following your own policy. I understand Mr. Klaus feels these books are propaganda, but restricting access based on that opinion would be unconstitutional. I urge you to reconsider, as failure to follow your policies could result in legal action. Second, I am concerned about the board's financial decisions. You approved $122,000 office lease and $32,000 salary increase for Mr. Walters, yet the budget only increased by $102,000. Where's these extra funds coming from? Not long ago, you reduced hours and closed on Sundays due to lack of funds. These new expenses for the office leases don't seem to benefit the community because they are primarily allocated to administrative costs rather than public services that patrons rely on, such as expanded programming. I'd like clarification on how these spending decisions align with your commitment to community service and fiscal responsibility. Finally, last month's discussion about the draft strategic plan raised concerns about library card access for those less fortunate. As a practicing Catholic, I feel compelled to speak for the voiceless, the poor and the uninformed who cannot afford a library card. God's greatest commandments are to love him and to love your neighbor. They do not instruct us to judge or exclude others. I urge the board to ensure everyone in our community has equal access to library resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is anyone else wish to speak that's not signed up? Very good. This concludes the public comment period. Now I'm going to, I have a housekeeping item, a note here for myself to write up. Go further up. It's regarding parliamentary procedure. The chair, Trustee Hanley, erred at the last meeting. That's my first mistake in the last year or 2, I guess. A trustee had called the question, technically the question. In response, I erroneously declared that this required an affirmative 3/4 vote, and well, it's actually 2/3. Normally is required by Robert's Rules of Order. This rule does not apply to our board, as our bylaws outweigh Robert's rules. Article 6 in our bylaws reads, an affirmative vote of the majority of all members of the board present at the time shall be necessary to approve any action before the board. So for future reference, moving the question only requires a simple majority vote. This clarification is hereby duly noted by me, the chair. And also, just as a point out, going into executive session, however, still does require an affirmative 2/3 vote, majority vote, as this is governed by Idaho state law, which outweighs Robert's rules and CLN's bylaws. So I wanted to clarify that, but I did state in there somewhere that it was 3/4 were required. That doesn't change going to an executive session, the process there. So that one's closed. I had another note, but I'll save it for either later today or another meeting. Let's see what's next on the agenda. Okay, next we have is the consent agenda. That was passed out with our board packet. I'm assuming people had a chance and opportunity to read through it. I do not have any notes for myself on that one. Trustee Bellman has no comments on that one. Trustee Bosco, oh, yes.
This is on the minutes of February 19th. So I was just gonna item 11, strategic plan discussion. A little confused, we had a point of order, Robinson, that we have consensus. Is there anything confusing on that, or was that just detail that I was?
I didn't go back and listen to it. I knew a point of order was called, I think, because I believe Trustee Robinson may have said she wanted to call a question, and then I think it got withdrawn, I'm not sure. And then we proceeded with more discussion later on. So I believe that's what that was for.
So what it is we stopped further discussion and then we
Resumed.
approved minus those 2 points.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments regarding the minutes? Hearing none, without objection, the minutes are hereby approved. We'll now move on to item number 6 on the agenda, the Community Library Network financial statements. Trustee Plus.
Couple of simple ones on the revenues on line row 5. Got bond levy money coming in, not much, but what's the plan for that? Does that go just, I mean, there's the bonds paid off, so I assume this is from back taxes that are being collected, but where does this money go now? And then the other question I had was on 520 expenditures, the health benefits. Shows 0 this month, but we're over quite a bit, and I know we changed the policy, but will there be any more expenses on that becoming for the rest of this fiscal year, or we have paid, or is it, anyway, is that all we're gonna expect? So those are my 2 questions.
Oh, yeah, I'll take the second one first. So that's the Viva Health benefit. So that's the card that we preload for staff in addition to other benefits. So it has the one time at the beginning of the year payment. Whether it happens again would depend on the hirings at later points of the year, whether they would get it at that time. So right now I would say, no, that's it. That's the first, like the front loading at the beginning of the year. Oh, the second question, probably have to defer to the CAO. the bond levy is obviously income, and so it isn't really going anywhere right now. It's gonna sit income at the end of the year. We'll probably, hopefully have a surplus. That would be part of that, and then the board will get to decide what to do. Formally called carry forward, but like surplus. Anyway, so yeah, it hasn't been much for anything internally.
I think it's gonna be bond levy, one that just trickles in here and there is just overdue taxes who are digging in as different fiscal years or whatever get paid up. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be,
I mean, it's nominal amount of money, it's small. I mean, we're looking at,
that's my assumption too. I mean, we didn't look into the county exactly where it came from, but it's gonna be residual for the recently completed bond levy.
thank you, to answer your question. Good luck.
One more on 890, the bottom of expenditures, training and conference travel. So we spent 6,600, but I guess and then this month 730, but I guess I'd like to know what it is that we're doing for training and conferences. I know it was in the budget, but, and we won't spend it all, but.
Yeah, the biggest amount of that is for the staff retreat. That was the strategic plan, but there was actually Friends funding for that as well, so it's actually not quite as expended as it looks because that grant money was, or the Friends money was involved.
Okay. I have no questions on here so far, so if you have anything. Different.
So moving on to we still got the 148 property tax receivable, but it sounds like on that, and so that's fine. There was the note on this, so there was additional notes on the back page of the notes. I'm a little confused on the note, which I think pertains to why this has been done, but one of the two counties reports are scheduled November 4th. That's this coming fall, so we have to wait till the end of the year. I thought what we're getting on this supplemental sheet is showing each month on the top lines, we go 2018 each year through 2025. What I was hoping is, I guess that's just Kootenai County, but although you got it for Shoshone also, but why can't we subtract each month the amounts that come in for those past years, 24 back to 2018, and reduce that amount on line
Or something.
148. If it's property tax receivable and you know the amount each month that we're getting for back taxes, it seems like we could just pick that number off. Maybe you can explain.
That's pretty much precisely the question that we'll answer next time. So the note is kind of alluding to some new information we've been able to uncover. Financial specialist has been working on that. So what you're seeing on these blue sheets is really our way of blue and purple, our way of showing you as much transparency as we can based on like an upward of what we're collecting. But the deduction from that line has more to do with accounting practices, which require the 2 times a year when the county will release official information, so that we could actually act on that. I guess it had been done annually as an audit, right? So we're getting closer to it, and I feel confident that that very specific question will be part of the next meeting's answer, and we'll make it its own agenda item so we can spend more time on it after. But
Okay, thanks.
Lieutenant,
I had another note on 201 on long-term liabilities. Premiums on bonds paid only 243, but what is that? And I thought we were done with bonds, so why is there a different bond, or why are we paying a premium?
That one I'm definitely gonna have to ask.
it's not much money, but it's that, but it's still there. Might be part of next month's discussion.
So we haven't, so we're still waiting on the audit, so that's actually the same number that you've been seeing. And so, it will be adjusted once the audit happens. And so, it's just that long-term liability bond that just sits there. And then once the audit, and if there's adjustments made, it'll reflect. That makes sense.
Which bond?
The paid off bond levy.
Paying a premium on it?
No, I think this was an amount that was adjusted in the 2024 audit. I remember reading a note on it. And so we haven't had the audit for 25 to see if that will shift. But I'll look into it for you.
I guess, so we get to see some of these audit questions and issues may be resolved next month. If at a certain point, we expect then, we get information from the treasurer's office and says different things about how much money is expected still from past due taxes. So but maybe have a, with that number, maybe the pending amount of money, let's say receivables, be the same amount that's stated on our statements. And also that can align with what's coming from the treasurer's office so that we're not constantly looking for waiting for an adjustment. I mean, is that kind of where it might go, or should I wait until next month?
It's fine.
Sort of. So the purple and the blue is showing what we're actually getting in arrears. And so that's what we're showing you coming in, and these are actuals that have been collected. The adjustments happen because the auditor has to have eyes on it, and we get reporting, and this will be explained a little bit more in detail next month, where we don't even get the final report. They don't get the report up until for like 60 days past. And so then an auditor will go in and then look and make adjustments. So some are actuals, always in arrears, and then others will be adjusted typically once a year. And then we'll always have money trickling in, just depending on properties, and how the taxes are paid or collected. So it's a little bit of a loaded answer, unfortunately, but it's a bit of everything, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, the director will explain that in April. Thank you.
100%.
Given other questions? If no one has any other questions, without objection, go ahead and we'll accept the financial reports for this period ending February 28th, I'm sorry. Yeah, 28th. Amen. Okay, next up on the agenda is the director's report. No, I missed something. Hold on. Wait a minute. Back up. So,
Facility.
okay. Oh, wait, so, okay, I appreciate it. Okay. My mistake. Okay, next up is the facilities department report with Randy Zapita. Is that correct? Yes. Zapita, good. I had to ask ahead. Thank you.
And of course, you already mentioned my name, but, first of all, I met Victoria, welcome, nice to meet you. And I serve as the facility manager for the community library network. In my role, I'm responsible for ensuring that all district buildings operate safely and efficiently for both the public and staff. To do this, long-term planning, financial preparation, are essential to the success of the facilities department. To support this work, it is important that the director, the finance team, and the board of trustees have a clear understanding of upcoming projects and associated funding needed. To aid in this process, a capital improvement plan was developed. Before we look at this sheet, I wanted to thank everybody from last year's budget approving that. We were able to complete several projects. We were able to install backup heaters and all the materials that the board wanted, and Hayden, Grafton, Spirit Lake, Apple, and Pinehurst. We also installed remote sensors in the attic space here in Post Falls and Apple. We can access that remotely. And we also added to our alarm system where Jennifer, Nick, and myself would all get a notification that temperatures drop below 30 minutes, start notifying us so we can start watching it. And then
That was because of the flooding and freeze we went on
correct.
a year and a half, whatever.
Yes, I was trying to
Yeah,
prevent that in the future, yes.
perfect, thank you.
Yes. And then, of course, the Harrison ramp and drainage system was completed finally. And then we revamped the garage in Hayden to allow the area to have a work area. And we replaced 2 furnaces, one in Pinehurst, one in Rathdrum. And we resealed the parking lots in Apple, Post Falls, Rathdrum, and Spirit Lake. Of course, all the other just general repair and maintenance, but that's the big project, so we're able to complete. Any questions on those?
There you go. Trustee Bus.
I didn't catch, you talked about the garage in Hayden, but then you said, and then the 2, by what?
The heaters, the furnaces?
Was that what you're furnaces after you talked about the garage?
Yeah, it was 2 furnaces, one in Pinehurst and one in Rathdrum.
Okay. Thank you.
There's no questions on that, we can go ahead and answer any questions on the CIP if there's any.
Or was it just, oh, that was the last handout.
But well, it was on the handout, it was on the.
On the table. Okay, got it.
I'll just jump in.
Table back in. Yeah.
That's all right. So this thing you're looking at, it's not the first time you've seen it. You were given it maybe a year ago
Mm-hmm.
or so. And there's nothing really to do with it now per se. So I asked Randy to make it part of his report so that we could bring it back to the table so that we could be mindful of it. It's gonna come more into play during budget time. And this relates to Idaho Code 332724, where part of our publication of the budget is supposed to include a list of the items, list of the capital items, which may eventually be replaced. So we'll have to talk to council on how to interpret the code, because you could interpret it as you could approve the entire CIP, which goes from 27 to 37. The board could technically approve the whole thing, and that could be a list that's included according to the code. But you could also interpret it as just the fiscal year that you would approve. It's not actually super clear whether they mean just the fiscal year or an entire list of the CIP. So there's nothing really to do with it yet. Obviously, we can talk about it. It shows some of the projects coming down the line over the next 10 years. But during the budget period, because it has to be part of the publication, it'll be important that we at least approve the next fiscal year's list, right, which will be 27. So if you have any questions about the actual projects, that's Randy's department. He'll be able to answer some of those and I can help, but we're just showing this because it's important that you, keep this in your mind, because come budget time, there will be an official approval of a part of it. So, yeah, so it's reasonable.
Thank you. Trustee Bus.
I guess my comment back on that is I'm quite sure that we don't have the authority to go approve anything that goes out to 2037. We can only approve either the current year or whatever the board members' terms are. We can't bind a future board to something. I think it's a good worksheet. I think that's the way I'm looking at it. So I guess I didn't remember about carpet replacement and if that's really needed, and if we got quotes, or where did that number come from? And the other question is, we only have two vehicles, two CLN vehicles, the courier van and facilities van. And I thought, I see the courier van's gonna get replaced 2027. I thought that was the weak link in this whole thing of CIN, or one of the weak links of this CIN, covering it, that we were gonna be delivering, but it sounds like that's what's planned. Is there other vehicles?
We do have other vehicles, but we're surplusing the Ford car. And Sprinter, and then we have another backup van that's has quite a, so I can kind of go over the mileage on the vehicles. Like, for example, the courier vehicle has 95,000 miles on it, and those vans don't much past 150,000. So the couriers, you put 600 miles on that vehicle a week, about 34,000 a year. So we're gonna go through that, but we do have a backup one, which I'll just go with that when it's in the shop or another issue, but that's not really answering the question.
Well, so basically, there are multiple vehicles. The only vehicles that are on the CIP are the courier van and the facilities van. There are two vans. One is the main courier van. It's the better of the two Dodge Caravans. The backup van is used for programming or whoever needs to move things around internally within the district. But for the week or two that the courier van is in the shop, we have the backup van. So that's the current state of affairs in regards to vehicles. The replacement of the courier van has to do with assessing how the first year went with the van, not being part of the consortium, how much mileage, how the in-house courier staff person feels about using a Dodge minivan, with the stowaway seats versus something like, a smaller cube van or some kind of other cube van. So assessing what's the best option is what will be part of the 2027 replacement of that van. What'll end up happening is the best of the two Dodge Caravans will remain as the backup, right? So that's what's behind that. The facilities van is a different van. That's the one that's used by the facilities team. You might have seen it around, has our logo on it, usually has an orange ladder on top, right? So that's the van that goes around and works with facilities. That one is pegged to be replaced in 2031. Again, based on Randy's research and mileage and usage. So that's that sort of story about vehicles.
Okay. I guess continue on.
I'm sorry, what was your other
With
question?
the carpets and
Oh, the
Oh,
carpet.
yeah, sorry about that.
So the carpet is just based on what the market is per square foot. Right now, we haven't gotten a estimate. That would be more when we actually get closer to it, because if I got an estimate now, it would change probably in 6 months. That's just based on square footage or what the market dictates per square foot. And to answer your question, yes, the carpet definitely needs to be replaced. It's the worst in the district. No matter how many times we clean it, it still looks like we've never cleaned it before.
I'd like to add, if we're going to do that, we probably keep an eye out on the timing of the rehab of that facility as well, because I know we have money there.
Yes, that would be the plan, to do it at the same
Yeah,
time.
let it absorb all the dirt and work before we switch it out, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I guess we continue on.
But was there any questions on the CIP?
I
I mean, that's pretty much, I just.
meaning the capital improvement plan? Questions?
Yes.
No, it was part of the board package, so I didn't have a chance to absorb it. Normally I like to stare at it before the meeting, so.
And that's all we have.
I do, yeah. So the HVAC we replaced and
Wrap them in Pinehurst.
Yeah, this year, or, yeah.
The last fiscal year, yes.
Would that be something you want to track for, each of the libraries? instead of just
Yes, it
putting
would
a-
be farther up what the scale goes. We should get 20, 25 years out of that.
Okay, so you are looking at,
Yes.
this is just the ones that are in the next 10 years. Okay. Okay.
I have a question. Since the new admin building is being eventually repopulated by our staff, in order to make space at the Hayden facility, site, library, and here, are there any staffing / unexpected hiccups or bumps in the road you anticipate in being able to go ahead and move into that facility? I think it was the April or May, right? I don't remember what it was.
It will not be, it'll probably be June by the time we get in there.
Okay. I have no other questions. Anyone else? Well, thank you, Randy, for your thank you for presenting it. And this winter, it was not a big challenge on the overhead.
Was not,
We did okay there. And we didn't spend a lot of money on snow plowing either. Happy to see. That'll fund other initiatives. Very good. Now, I was so anxious earlier to come up with the director's report. I was jumping the gun before, so we're now on the director's report.
Thank you. This will be brief. The director's report, it is provided in the packet a couple days before the meeting. It covers a variety of topics and answer any questions on that. And I usually just add a few other updates, so I have a little bit to update on, but I'll obviously field questions on everything. So just an update on the internal review. This is the internal review of materials pursuant to the Children's School and Library Protection Act. As noted at a previous board meeting, I enlisted the expertise of all the librarians of the CLN to expedite this process. And just to clarify, once again, a librarian is a professional designation for someone who has acquired a master's degree in librarianship. 93 of the 140 titles currently under internal review have been reviewed. 37 of these titles possess content that has been deemed harmful to minors. 56 of these titles do not possess content that has been deemed harmful to minors. As you may recall, there were 16 titles designated as harmful to minors as a result of requests for relocation, bringing the current total of titles for the mature content collection to 53. Titles that are not designated for the mature content collection may still be moved from the minor collection to the adult collection. This additional review will be handled by the Collection Development Department and the Director. To reiterate, items moved to the mature content collection are moved based on a violation of the Children's School and Library Protection Act, whereas items moved from the minor collection to the adult collection are moved based on our material selection and acquisition policy. To reiterate, I just say that because I know I've said this many times before and I keep saying it despite having said it before. The review of library material is conducted by the director in the Collection Development Department with the aid of CLN librarians as needed. However, there always remains the technical services side of these projects, which includes reprocessing and cataloging of the materials to be moved. Libraries have been around for 5 millennia, so our timeline tends to be our own timeline. I'll just leave it at that. Even though there are 53 titles to be housed in the mature content collection, they will require time in the technical services department. Consequently, if anyone happens to try the door of the mature content collection and finds it locked, there is no need for alarm, since the collection itself is not there yet. Reiterate, any and all items that are being reviewed remain available to patrons through the ILS. And we have consistently filled holes for these items over the entire time, with the exception, as I mentioned once before, back in October, when there was a bit of a oversight during the CIN dissolution where my technical services department was dedicated to that project. And the items slipped in the IMS from one status to another, making them hidden for a very brief period of time. Not 9 months, but a very brief period of time. And once that was recognized, they were unhidden in the ILS. And hidden isn't the term I would use, but it's the one often used by non-professional librarians. That being said, I'm confident that we will be able to announce to our community that we have completed our review of the collection for minors in May. And I'm grateful for the community feedback about the minor collection that we received during our community needs assessment survey in 2025, because that will help, especially with moving materials from the children's collection to the adult collection. And then a final update on human resources. We have filled 5 open positions, 3 in Rathdrum and 2 in Hayden. And we had over 25 applications for those positions, which I think in and of itself is a great sign of health of the organization. I remember when I first came here, we might get 5 or 6 applications for positions of this sort. And now we're attracting interest throughout the community to work here. And we also promoted 7 internal employees, either in their current capacity or to open and desired positions. That is my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
It was a short report, Trustee Bus.
So how many open positions do we have right now? What, because everything has been approved for your staffing, it's just.
Yeah, the only open position on the website right now is for the human resources specialist position, which is a position that has been us. Wow.
And do you have applicants for that? Or?
Yeah, we just posted it like a couple of days ago.
Oh,
We have some interest, but yeah, it's open for until filled, so positive we will find the right candidate.
It's not a question, just a small note in the director's report I reviewed, comes in as part of the packet. It was interesting, a little bit that the adult program attendees, the number of attendees exceeded, which is unusual, not by much, but the number of youth program attendees. It's usually the adult number is dwarfed by the opposite, so it may have been part of some other special thing in there, maybe it caused. Maybe it was to do with IT literacy or some other program, some kind of program where I guess it picked up. But anyway, usually there are far more in the youth side than on the adults. So I have no question regarding that though, unless you wish.
I mean, I could look into more detail, but again, for me, I think it's hopefully it's a sign of the sort of investment that we placed into the adult programming. Youth programming is the bread and butter of libraries. It always has been. You know, early childhood literacy and that sort of. But since I come here and we restructured the program and the departments and we established an annual program department, which was a year in the making, this is hopefully the fruit of that, where we provided really, and obviously you saw that, the strategic plan feedback that the community wants more adult programs. And so, yeah, this is hopefully the fruit of that we really invested in that, especially with staffing and just the structure of the department.
Trustee Bus.
what I would like to see at some point is maybe a list of all the different programs, maybe their subjects or the name of the program or something that's offered. And maybe which library it's at. I don't have a good feel of what kind of things we're offering in the community. I see a few things we don't hear about, anyway, what you highlight, but, are we still, or are we doing any kind of, bringing in, musicians to perform, or are we having, free hikes in the park or anything like that. I'm just.
Those are all wonderful things. My question.
But I don't know about the library, but what I'm wondering is, can I see, or can the board see a summary of
Yes, absolutely.
per library, what all we're doing?
Absolutely. My question to you is, do you want that before we have the adult program and youth programmer present, which I think is on the agenda more closer to August, or like eventually they make a presentation? Would you like me to give you that before then? Or are you okay waiting until it comes to that time around this year where they're going to present? Because it would make sense to have it at that time, but if you want it before that, I can get it before that.
The others can speak for themselves, but personally, I would like it before we start the budget process. I'd like to know what we're spending our money on and what we're doing. Maybe over the last 12 months or something at that point.
Will do.
I do believe I brought that up actually months ago, maybe it was even in the budget process last year, that I would like to see, just to feel comfortable with the funding for the upcoming year, looking at the past year, just to see if we feel that we're comfortable with where the money is being spent, what kind of programs are going on, that's all. So, it's only two of us. If Trustee Ballin would like to agree with that, all three of us, I don't want to.
I'm fine with seeing it, but you can also go onto the website and they outline it pretty well. And if you sign up for the newsletter, you get it every month, what's going on and where and locations.
And again, like, that's absolutely true, and that's a great place to get it, but the thing I'll bring besides that will be the financial list where it shows the correlation between the programs and how they're funded, because as you know, a lot of the funding is coming through the Friends and other grants. I usually report those. There was that $10,000 grant for the kindergarten boot camp, so that's the extra feature that I'll bring during budget time.
Thank you. Other questions? Anything further for the director? No? Okay. Well, I guess we have a choice now. We're well ahead of schedule, so we can take a break or we can press on. We've only been working for almost 45 minutes, so my preference would be to continue on. Is even you, yes, you good to continue on? All right, we'll hold off on the break, and if it becomes exhausting down the line, we can push it along with a different item on the agenda. All right, break. So we can now move on to the trustee job description discussion. I do have one short prepared remark on that one here. At the January 19th meeting, Trustee Plus voted nay to approve the January 15th meeting minutes, specifically questioning the accuracy of the draft of the trustee job description. The amendments were put into there. And in order to dispel any doubts, I carefully played back the recording and confirmed that indeed the minutes were in fact quite accurate. So I did speak with the director with regard to how amendments for things like job descriptions or policies, et cetera, might be better reflected in future board minutes. Because if you remember, we put the changes in the actual minutes that last time. And instead of doing that, I'm putting on here that we maybe include the actual amended verbiage in the minutes. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's not to have the actual verbiage changes in the minutes itself, but instead present them back to the board itself with a, let's say, an updated policy or an updated job description. So I don't think we should be writing changes to a policy in the actual minutes itself. Just provide an updated policy itself when we're working on one. So, like for example, this time around here, we did get in this packet for this meeting now. It does include the actual changes that were made in the last meeting. But to write those changes in the minutes, we can simply make a note in there that such and such were in fact that we made changes and just put a note that we did make amendments to a particular policy in the minutes, but not actually write the actual changes in the minutes. I don't think that's necessary. So, Trustee Potts.
So this one that's got the red cross out and the green adds, and it says draft, I would like to have a date on that draft. So this is the working, this is as far as we got in the first paragraph, and these are the changes we made, and we all had consent, or it was the consensus That's where it belongs.
I like that. Is that okay,
Check,
Trustee
the
Brown?
checks,
Just, little date in there, that way we know which is the most recent draft until we actually get one approved. Okay,
Yeah.
good idea. Thank you. Okay, do we want to just press on to, we already finished paragraph 1 at the last meeting, the one before, that. I think it was in January. So we want to go ahead and take a look at the next item of,
What is this one?
that's the original, actual, real,
Reader.
that's the actual one, I think. Not a draft, I believe. Does it say draft?
I
Oh,
think
it does say draft.
I think it's,
It must have been an earlier version somewhere.
well, it came in the packet or something.
Well, the packet has in red 14, it shows the changes were made in January. So there's the most recent one in your hands, sir.
I don't know if there's anything else in your exchange. I didn't print this out. It's a color printer. I think it came in the packet, or maybe it was last month's packet.
So the one with the red underscore cross out on line 14, that is the most recent one. So we finished paragraph 1. Now, oh no, I did here was I did look at what I went through the job description on my own initially. This is back a month or two ago. Then Trustee Plus handed out at one of the meetings in the past, I think it was in January, suggested changes he had. I went through those myself and incorporated changes or ones I either accepted or rejected on my own working copy. And so I also received an email from Trustee Otteson because she let me know she wasn't going to be here. And I got an email of the suggested changes she has. They were not extensive by any means, but I have the Trustee Plus suggested changes in here. And then I have, this is the ones from Trustee Otteson. Changes that she was suggesting so that we can take these into consideration as we go through this. I have no changes myself for the position summary, line item number 16 through 23. So does anyone have any, we press on here, any suggested changes to that paragraph?
Which one?
Position summary. Trustee Boss.
It's in my handout here, but it's, proper nouns again. It should be lowercase board, lowercase g for trustees. We don't name which board. Same for district, lowercase g. So all these, we aren't gonna say CLN or the trustees, then it should just be lowercase or the trustees. And I think where it's actually would be considered a spelling error. We don't do that.
Okay, I think we addressed that issue in paragraph 1 and the majority of the board disagreed. And we did not change it. So if it said board of trustees and we like uppercase board and trustees, we left it there. We did that with the first paragraph. We did that the same thing when it said district library and somewhere else. So unless 2 out of the 3 of us want to now change that, which we can't just change that paragraph. We have to go back and change paragraph 1. Otherwise, we're going to have 2 different styles. So I'm comfortable with the way it is. I have no suggested changes. Does Trustee Bowman wish to weigh in on that?
Agree.
Okay, you have any other discussion on that?
I'm just saying this is a spelling error and I think we shouldn't go on record of it. If you go pick up any secretary's manual, any administrative assistants has a manual and they have spelling corrections and how to do things, and we're in violation of it.
Duly noted. Okay, moving on to purchase and purpose statement. I have one suggested change. I think it was the same one that Trustee Placid distributed to us. Trustees serve as advocates of intellectual freedom. That's to me ALA speak.
Yep.
Highlighted it out from my working copy. And that's my only comment I have on that particular area of purpose statement. Do you have any other changes or do you agree with that particular change? Trustee Claus.
I want that line, that last line struck completely.
Very good. Trustee Bauman. You comfortable with that? It reads, trustees serve as advocates of intellectual freedom.
Did you see what Rochelle was saying about that?
I think she had a different line item on that one. I marked all the ones she had given me. We marked. Pardon me a minute. Line 33 was the first change she suggested, I believe.
But then she does talk about it,
Where is that?
she says line 44.
I'm missing something there?
Well, you do go, it's very similar, so I just want to say.
Yeah, there's examples, there's something she changed it.
It's two places.
Yeah, it's
further
two
down.
places, two places.
Okay. Yeah, I marked in red all the things, yeah, she changed a couple of things, minor, but, which line were you concerned about? 44?
Yeah, so she's got it on 44, that it could be similarly written.
Oh, okay, I agree. I see that, and on myself, when I got to that particular line in 44, I lined that one out as well. Replacing it with anything at all. Her suggestion on there, 44,
Principles of freedom.
yeah. Or 44, I agree with the plus draft and removing ALA speak. Oh, she's using my language here. But rather than striking altogether, perhaps it could be edited to something like principles of freedom and responsibility. That was the input from Trustee Otteson via email. I didn't buy into it, but I didn't disagree necessarily. Trustee Klotz.
Yeah, I think it's too vague. It's not, and that can be interpreted a lot of ways. I just leave it out. The only reason it's in there is because somebody, past boards, wanted us to advocate for this totally false intellectual freedom that was invented by the ALA, saying that if somebody wants to come in and find out how to make a nuclear bomb, they have intellectual curiosity and freedom, and we need to give it to them. And I, as a board member, did not want CLN to do any kind of cooperating with somebody that thinks they have the freedom to get anything they want. So I don't want to even put words in there about
Okay.
principles of freedom and responsibility.
So Trustee Bellman was again bringing up what Trustee Otteson had provided. There's a connection in the wording between what was in line item number 2829, which said trustees serve as advocates for intellectual freedom, which connected to Trustee Otteson's comment on item number, line item number 44. Now that read, the principles of intellectual freedom and access to information. That was an example, I think it is, of work under the knowledge and abilities. I lined it out as not, I don't even want the line at all. I think that's what I'm hearing from you. Do you see something different, Trustee Bellman? Yes.
I'm fine with it either way.
Okay, so you're okay with us striking the contents of that last sentence under the purpose statement. It says trustees serve as advocates of intellectual freedom. Coupled with filling line item number 44 under the examples of work, it says knowledge and abilities. We're going to strike the principles of intellectual freedom and access to information. We're not going to include that. We're comfortable with that change? Very good. I'm assuming the secretary is keeping track of it because I'm not writing on it. Okay, very good. Okay, we can, I guess we're finished with purpose statement and we can move down to examples of work. That one has a red dot by me because that was something that Trustee Otteson made a note of on here. So hers for item number, sorry, read line number 33. She said creates instead of, it says now, so she liked, I guess it was creates sufficiently in her opinion, encompasses Trustee Ploss's edit to the January draft. So Trustee Ploss, if I remember correctly, put on there, write and edits board policies, I think, or at least that's So. Trustee Fox.
And the reason is, there's a lot of these policies that we're not creating, we're editing, or making changes, and I think that's important to say as an example of work. And I'm okay with striking my suggested right and put creates and edits board policies.
Okay, that aligns with part, I put on my draft at home, creates and or drafts board policies. Trustee Bowman on that one?
I like the concept of creates and edits board policies.
Okay,
Yeah, because draft, it implies you're creating, so you're double saying you're creating and you're drafting. I like the word edit as a second, because we're just.
okay, so clarification for the secretary, creates and or edits board policies. That's what we're gonna put in for line item number 33.
Not the order, just and. Those are examples.
I don't care either way. What do you want to do? What do you want?
Creates and edit board policy, edits.
Creates and edit. Yeah, I would think and or edits, because there are times where the director may give us a policy from scratch and we don't have. And I think that's actually in some cases more typical, that a policy may be originated from the director. I think the director can weigh on that, but I think there are times where we may get a new policy that we didn't start it up, but we may tune it or edit it. So, you vote on that?
Yeah, my experience, for the most part, the library director will present to the board a draft that they create, so. Except maybe this one where you guys have full range to do it anyway, you're like, but for the most part, I think the boards typically rely upon the director to bring them something to work with, so. The only thing I would say, and I don't mean to jump in, but typically the language that's put onto the policy is revised. So approval date, revised date. So it could be creates and revises. Edit is what that is, but when it comes to the policy itself, the word revised is usually the word used on the policy. Revising, revised date.
Do we like revise it? Do we like,
I didn't mean to
amend or amend? No, we want, you're part of this, but, or was the word amend more correct and or more accurate? I don't know.
I was just talking about editing. It's either edit or revised, doesn't matter.
Revise, I'm okay.
Fine with it.
What do you want? Which way you want to go? Right, you have a suggestion?
This is just an example of a word. This isn't saying that we shall revise board policy or we shall do this. It's just examples of what we do. So we do edit policies. That, I mean, the revision is finalizing the changes.
Revise, I like revises good though. Reads and or revises board
But I wouldn't
policies.
put the or, but they're both things we do. Create that we get to not edit.
If we,
An example, two things that we can create and we also edit or revise.
okay,
Don't say and
so
or,
you want create or revises board policy, is that okay?
and,
Pardon me?
and, two different things that we do.
Okay, I'm okay with that too. I can, repeat it again for clarity. The suggestion might be for line number 33, creates and revises board policies. Are we all good with that?
Yes.
You good with that? Done. Okay, moving on. I have nothing for line item 34. I do have a note for 35, which is also coming in from trustee Addison. I don't remember what she wrote in hers exactly. Let me go back and look. Line item 35, she said, edit to reviews and approves, I guess. Oh, not just, I guess, approves. Right now it reads, approves budget as required by code. And the edit is reviews, and it's incorporating mine as well. Reviews, modifies, and approves budget.
That's fine.
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
Yep.
Okay, for line item number 35,
So it's
reviews,
instead of approves or.
just approve, yeah, leave approves budget as required, but add in front of that, reviews, modifies, and approves budget as required by code. That was an easy one, okay. I have nothing for 36 or 37. Does anyone else? No?
Jones,
Noted? Okay, I'm on 40 if no one has anything, anything else?
No.
No?
wait a minute,
Okay, I'll wait.
represents 39.
And when we're doing this, just so you know, something else I looked at and part of the preparation for this, I did go through public library districts' powers and duties of the Board of Trustees and looked through A, B, C, D, all the way down through O to see if there are things that we're supposed to do that are not there. So we don't cover everyone, but everything that was essential in there, in my opinion, was covered. So I did not only look at revising or updating and looking at what we have now, but I looked at the actual statute on that one. So is there anything for 38 or 30, 38 or 39?
I want to add,
Which line I don't be on?
so it's my line below 40, or I guess you could say it's changing. No, it's reviews and understands financial statements and fiscal positions of the library district. I firmly believe that somebody should not be on this board if they don't understand financial statements. What are you doing representing the taxpayers if you can't even follow a balance sheet and basic accounting? Maybe Trustee Robinson is suggesting that we're scaring off trustees, or perspective, but I don't think people should be sitting on the board reviewing the financial policy unless they understand financial statements. So that was what I wanted to add, reviews and understands financial statements and fiscal positions of the library district.
I actually looked at it as something I did like. I don't know. But we're putting it in as maybe, won't make believe a future item number 41, even though these are just markers, but it was written in as reviews and understands financial statements and fiscal positions of the district. I like that edit, meaning add that in there as a new item as part of examples of work. That's the last item there. Yep, okay, we got a green light on that one for everybody. And we took it, you heard that? Okay, I want to go back now on 40 itself. I wanted to add a word in there. It says ensures the district has adequate resources to operate its services. Do we want to call that maybe adequate physical resources? I don't know if we talk about having money sufficient to run the operation here elsewhere. The reason I bring that up is I'm looking at letter number F as in Frank in the statute, and it just said we're supposed to establish and locate libraries, so forth, to provide adequate, I can't read it, to provide suitable rooms, structures, facilities, furniture, apparatus, and so forth. So I figure, well, I think putting the word physical for that particular item would be good. Unless if we did not already cover resources. Do we have resources somewhere already covered? Meaning one of the jobs we do is make sure we have the resources financially. I did not go back and look for that. Yes, examples, purpose.
We don't have to have this is just example. We don't have to have every single thing we do, but I mean, we're approving job descriptions. I don't know if that's in there, but
It's in there.
Is it?
It's further down. It's always down on number 30, 59.
But these are examples of.
Yes, they are.
And it's not
only.
It's not the examples of every piece of work we do, so I don't think you have to say everything,
I'm happy to not put physical in there.
because it's just resources. It
I
could
can
be-
leave it as is and not change it. I'm fine. Are you okay with leaving 40 as is?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? 40's unchanged. So we cross that out. Okay, we're still working on examples of work, we're jumping down to knowledge and abilities. There was an input from trustee Otteson on 44.
That's not examples of work. It's a new topic, knowledge and abilities.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Where did we say? Yes, you're right. Beg your pardon. Under knowledge and abilities, line item number 44, there was input from trustee Otteson. It says C, trustee Otteson. No, okay. Number 44.
We just decided before this.
Oh, we did that one. Okay, we struck that. Sorry. All right. Right. I have a suggestion on 45. We still, okay. It says budgeting. And this is again, knowledge and ability. So we want budgeting as a knowledge, accounting and business principles.
I think so, yeah.
I think maybe you put that on yours.
That's what I
Okay.
said,
I guess I accepted that change privately before I get in here. So line item number 45. Okay. So for you, line item number 45 says budgeting. We want to add in there comma, accounting and business principles. So be budgeting, accounting and business principles. Okay. All right. My next note is until we get to 47. Anything before that? Between 45 and 46, we're okay?
Well, we just did 45.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, and 46. I didn't see
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
my next change is 47.
47, okay, there's a 47, and there's also a dot, which means trustee Otteson must have weighed on this as well. 47, she said it might be better to add a new sentence. Robert's rules of order is helpful, rather than including it in the existing sentence, since the significantly less formal Robert's rules for small boards, knowledge of law, so forth, so. That was provided. Trustee, Glass, please.
I think we should all, when we're talking about practices and etiquette of the board and open meeting law, Robert's rules needs to be there, not just as a helpful. You need to get the book. If you're a new trustee, you need to get the book and learn it. Start to learn the basics of it, watch some videos. But so that's all I did, is I removed the and in front of government. And I put lowercase transparency. Why the heck do we have an uppercase T on transparency?
I don't,
It's not on mine.
we don't have uppercase. That doesn't follow grammatical rules.
Which number is that?
47, it carries down to 48.
Well, somehow or another, something happened. Okay, so it doesn't have uppercase,
No.
but anyway, comma and Robert's rules of order. And I don't think we need to distinguish between small boards or.
Well, I have it on mine. Okay, so for the record there, so it reads etiquette and practices of public boards and meeting law. We're adding in, which I agree, unless I'm putting a comma and crossing out the word and just put, so open meeting law, comma, government transparency, comma, and Robert's rules of order. And I would put it small, in parentheses for small boards, because it specifically, it calls out, I don't know, 10 or 12 different peculiarities for small boards. So I would like to see it, and I think that was also in line with input. I don't know, but, so
Yeah.
I can repeat if needed. So etiquette and practices of public boards, open meeting law, government transparency, and Robert's rules of order in parentheses for small boards. We both okay with that? Okay, very good.
Yeah, I don't think it needs the small boards.
Noted, we kept that. Okay, we're down to number 49. I have no changes to 49. Okay, now I added my own new unique one in this group. We're still under knowledge and abilities. I thought this was important. I put, we should have Idaho this is again with knowledge and abilities. Idaho statutes applicable to Idaho libraries.
of knowledge.
as a knowledge item. Because I flipped through some, I keep some with me on hand sometimes in case I need them for meetings here. I have at least probably about a dozen that kind of specifically address library issues. So I was suggesting, again, a knowledge and ability, we should have knowledge of Idaho statutes applicable to Idaho libraries, in my opinion.
So what would the bullet point say?
Idaho statutes applicable to Idaho libraries.
You pull it out, it's section 27.
You know, there are multiple statutes. I don't want to list them all. It's just a knowledge item of Idaho statutes. So you want to go through them all, okay?
No,
Okay,
27 for public library districts. What else do we need to know? We don't need to know the ones about public schools. We don't need to know. It's chapter 27, everything's in it.
you want me to spend the time to flip through all of my statutes? If you do, I'll be happy to do so.
All of
We don't need to identify them. We just want to say this knowledge of Idaho, what I just said,
Well, public,
knowledge of Idaho statutes applicable to Idaho libraries.
chapter
Pretty
27,
generic.
public library districts. That's all it is. Just name it. That's
We have
why-
issues that come on, I'm sorry, you do, yes, trustee Bowman?
I think we should just keep it broad.
I like broad. If you want me to go through my statutes, I'll be happy to.
What is there? What is there?
Director, please.
Yeah, again, sorry to chime in, but there will be other statutes which will be applicable. Like the Children's School and Library Protection Act is applicable. There'll be other financial ones that they get footnoted from one statute to another, so I'll keep that in mind.
I agree. So actually, trustee Bowman is comfortable with that?
Yes.
I am as well. Do you have further discussion on that one, trustee Boss?
All of those things you're talking about are in 27. The only thing I know of that we would need to know about would be maybe something with joint powers. But, anyway, it's okay to leave it that way, but I'm just saying it's pretty specific that it's chapter 27, I think.
We're going to go ahead and include this one on here. So after the last item we had on the knowledge and abilities was Idaho district, the demographic thing there we didn't talk about because we didn't change it. So we're adding in Idaho statutes applicable to Idaho libraries. We have, oh, go ahead, trustee Plus.
I also saw when I flipped through here, do we have any place knowledge of our bylaws? CLN bylaws. That's, I printed all this stuff off when I became a trustee, just so I had it to refer to. Bylaws and policies to be knowledge that we have. And where was Idaho statutes? That was up.
Adding it in as,
Was that above knowledge or was that?
so it was part of the last item on knowledge and abilities.
Statutes applicable to?
Idaho libraries.
I think we should maybe consider adding below that then is community library network bylaws, or board bylaws, CLM.
Trustee Bowman?
Underneath ability to, on line 58, it talks about bylaws. I know it talks about overseeing them and reviewing them and the policies, but that sort of infers that you understand the bylaws.
That's pretty good, yeah. Does seem to be addressed. Running about 58.
Okay.
All right, so we're okay with where we are? All right, if we're comfortable now, we can jump down to under the knowledge and abilities, ability to. And just for your knowledge, I have nothing for line item number 51, 52, 53, 54, all the way through 57. I have no suggested changes there, and I have no changes suggested from Trustee Otteson either. So let me know if you're comfortable or have anything else between 51 through 57. Communicate effectively orally and in writing. The email. That was through and including 57. Actually, I had no changes, including 58. I don't have 58 changes either, so. Any other changes? I don't want to rush you. Let me know if you're comfortable going from 51 all the way down through and including 58, unless you have something to be changed.
Yeah.
Trustee Brown?
I'm good.
Oh, Trustee Moss.
So says you need to have the ability to communicate with email, but Trustee Robinson proposed and everybody accepted that at the top, that internet access, I'll have to strike that, that's not necessary.
You don't have to have internet access to have email.
You gonna read it?
You go to a coffee shop and you can go on their Wi-Fi. Right? That was her point, is that you can have Wi-Fi from office, you can come to the library and use Wi-Fi or use a computer in the library.
So we're going to say we have to be able to do email, but we don't need to have email.
We don't have to have internet access.
I think that's not, okay.
Okay, so any changes still? I have none noted still from 51 through and including 58. No changes. Anyone have changes there? Not used to making such fast progress. Going once, going twice, okay. Moving on, down the line on a 59.
That's what I wanted.
It was written up as, the way it comes out is approved job descriptions, personnel policies, approved compensation packages. There were some suggested changes, I think, from Trustee Plus in that one, I think. If not, I have some written on mine.
I don't mind that we approve. I mean, that's pretty easy just to prove, but you better understand. So I put understand job descriptions. And I don't think the ability to approve is anything other than saying yay. I think the ability comes in with understanding. So I want to strike approve and put understand all job descriptions.
I have it written as review and approve job descriptions.
But you better understand it. You better have the ability to understand it instead of just look at it and approve.
I'm flexible. I like review and approve. And you're suggesting understand and approve.
Yes, that would be fine. At least understand.
Do you have any preferences here?
I'm fine with either.
I'll let you have your way once in a while if you'd like.
So understand.
Understand and approve. I'm good enough with that, so. Go ahead.
And then at the end, there's understand and approve kind of applies to the rest of the sentence, I think. Job descriptions and personnel policies and compensation package for employees.
So if there's,
Instead of saying approve again, it's understand and approve job descriptions, comma, I think I took a word out.
that's correct.
Yeah. I took a word
Understand
out.
and approve this job descriptions, comma,
Personnel policies.
personnel policies, and
But I said the compensation plan.
I have that as well on my, the compensation package for employees.
Understand and approve is a list of 3 things.
Okay, I'll make sure we got it clearly though. So we understand and approve job descriptions, comma, personnel policies, and the compensation package for employees.
Yeah.
Is that, okay, we, trustee Bellman, too?
Yes.
Good, okay. Anything else to be added to that department, that section rather? I have no further changes beyond that for myself under the essential physical abilities, meaning line items number 62 through 70. And I had no input on those from trustee Addison as well. I don't know if we can do this because this is too fast. We can maybe make this last for a few more hours, maybe. To keep a tradition.
Let's go back and redo paragraph, our first
Are
paragraph.
you serious? Please, please no. All right, so this could be a record.
To add internet access.
Now, you don't get all the fast. That's all coming and going, so.
Okay, but I will say, I got my big things that I saw the day I took this job, which was,
Oh, you have more changes to this?
no, my big things that I saw when I took this, or first read this was,
Can you get the mic on so you can hear?
to strike the ALA stuff about intellectual freedom. Because I don't need people coming up and giving public address that we're not following our job description. And our job is not to give books about, if some kid comes up and says, I want to get a book on how to murder my parents or how to commit sexual abuse. We don't give them that book. I hope there's no librarian in this district that would give them a book. And that's what ALA is advocating for. And I don't want that in here. So thank you.
Well, that concludes that line on the agenda. That was the big one. Moving on,
Sorry,
to the director, please. Yes, sir.
just so I have clarity, this has been approved.
Oh,
Is it going to legal or is it just approved as is? I just want
Right.
to.
I see no need to go to legal in this one. Trustee Bellman, thoughts? Trustee, no? Very good. So do we want to just see a clean copy when it's done? Well, we've already approved it.
Yeah.
And so I guess we'll look at the clean copy as part of our minutes at the next summer round. And if we see an error in there, or is that a good way to go about this one?
yeah, approved.
Okay, it's approved. Okay, so yes, so I guess we can make this one a voting item of sorts. We can currency then, we can burns.
We'll do an action item next.
Okay, is it actually one here? It might
No,
already
next.
be. Well, it would be approving the minutes next time, what we're saying. This one we have it as an action item, as trustee job description. So we can approve the job descriptions as amended.
We should do that.
Yeah. So, does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the job description trustee for the library trustee job description as amended.
It has been moved, we approve the trustee job description as amended. All those in favor? By saying aye?
I,
Aye. The ayes have it, unanimous. The trustee job description is approved. Okay, line number, agenda number 11, response to public comment. I don't have any. Trustee Boss indicated he may have one.
Yeah.
But you have one? Okay, no. Very good.
Yeah, several months have gone by, but it kind of evolved. But last month we had a specific public comment asking to respond about the materials reconsideration policy and why the books are being held. So we had a specific set of questions, and I wrote an email back, and I just want to read that real quick. In response to your email below, it's my opinion that the library director and staff are following the CLN materials withdrawal and reconsideration policy, both the original June 2024 version and the most recent December 2025 version revision. Both versions have the same text, quote, CLN shall not promote, give, or make available material harmful to minors to any minor. The library shall take reasonable steps to restrict access by minors to materials defined in Idaho Codes 18-1513, 1514, 1515, and 1517B. Materials harmful to minors shall be relocated to the mature content collection. That's the version December 25, excuse me. That last sentence was changed in 2025 because before we didn't have the mature content collection. The new Idaho statute 1517B specifically instructs, quote, relocate the material to harmful to minors to an area with adult access only, unquote. The CLN material withdrawal and relocation policy has been compliant with that sentence in 181517B since June 2024. The difference is we now say mature content collection because we created that. The CLN library director and staff are following current policy, CLN policy, which makes it clear that the library staff has a duty to relocate the quote material harmful to minor unquote, to an adult access only location. In addition, there are provisions in the policy for patrons to file requests to relocate material using the form and procedure provided. It's abundantly clear in the CLN policy that the relocation request process is not the only way to initiate relocation, but an available avenue for patrons if they encounter overlooked material. The staff has the primary obligation to keep the harmful materials out of the areas that can be accessed by minors. The answers to your questions are found in the policy paragraph I quoted above. CLN staff is obligated to relocate the material harmful to minors if found in areas accessible to minors. The staff does not need a request, or should they wait for a relocation request if such a situation is encountered. The evaluation criteria are delineated in Idaho statutes 18, 15, 13, 15, 14, 15, 15, and 15, 17B, as indicated in the materials withdrawal and reconsideration policy. The policy does not specify the maximum duration allowed for the staff to relocate the material. Since the mature content collection and collection development manager positions are relatively new and labels and processes need to be created, the initial relocations are taking longer, but the library board and the public are being advised that our regular monthly board meetings. And that's my reply on that, but I also wanted to add that several months before in December, after the December meeting, we received this Freedom to Read Foundation letter that was dated December 15th. And like the day before our December board meeting, but we had public comments asking us or warning us about this letter from this Freedom to Read Foundation and that we have a legal risk and telling us about it. So what I'd like to know is how did the public commenter know about this letter that we hadn't even seen ourselves? And why were they bringing it to our attention when it hadn't even been published, or it was the day after it was dated? So I believe there are some members of our community that are working with Freedom to Read Foundation, or they wouldn't have access to it. But basically, it's the same thing I just wrote in this email reply. The board is complying with our policy, and they're referring to some policy that's fictitious. They apparently haven't, whoever wrote this letter hasn't even read our CLN policies. It's not violating anything. The staff is following our policy. So, there's obviously undercurrents going on here, but our policy is very clear and it's not been challenged legally, and I don't see how it can be, because it's following Idaho law. That's my comments.
Very good. That concludes the response to public comment. We'll move on to discussion of future agenda requests. I don't have any particular ones. Does anyone wish to bring any? No, I'm sure we'll have hopefully a little more on our agenda next time. We can't, we'll have such short meetings.
You had some other things.
We still have things on our parking lot from way
Well,
back.
you started to put on a meeting, but you took them off, or we didn't get to them. I thought there were some other topics. Anyway.
You don't have any? Okay.
Nothing new, but I think you.
Okay. So we'll set our special and regular meeting dates coming up here, and our next meeting is on April 16th. That will be after Easter, so I wish everyone a joyous Resurrection Day on Christmas, when it comes to Easter this time,
That's
next month. And so I have nothing else, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Very good. It's been moved to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, Sky?
I-
The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.